For generations, the pursuit of surgical precision on a hunt was a luxury reserved strictly for the wealthy. If you wanted a rifle capable of splitting hairs at 100 yards, you had to pay thousands of dollars to a master gunsmith. But that era is completely dead. The relentless advancement of automated machining has shattered the price barrier, bringing elite lethality to the working class. Today, we are exposing the top 5 budget deer rifles under $400 that will absolutely dominate the 2026 hunting season. Number 5. The Mossberg Patriot Synthetic. In the modern theater of budget firearms, psychological warfare plays a massive role in consumer psychology. Manufacturers understand that hunters desire the aesthetic prestige of a $3,000 custom mountain rifle, but they often only have a fraction of that capital to spend. Mossberg engineered the Patriot to perfectly weaponize that desire, creating a devastating optical illusion. At first glance, this weapon looks like a highly customized tactical platform, but beneath the surface, it is a mass-produced tool built for the working class. The mechanical insight that defines this weapon is its aggressive cosmetic machining, specifically the spiral fluting cut deeply into the bolt body and the straight fluting along the barrel. While the barrel fluting does almost nothing to reduce the physical weight of the heavy steel, the spiral cuts on the bolt actually serve a critical combat function. When you are dragging this weapon through deep mud or freezing rain, those deep grooves provide a channel for dirt and ice to escape. When you cycle the action, you do not feel the harsh grinding of sand against steel. It glides smoothly, pushing the next round into the chamber with brutal efficiency. Furthermore, the tactical geometry of the receiver allows you to top-load cartridges directly into the action, while the flush-fitting polymer magazine remains securely locked in place, keeping you constantly engaged in the fight. The lightning bolt action trigger breaks cleanly at 2.5 pounds, feeling like snapping a thick glass rod in the freezing cold. However, this illusion of premium quality violently shatters the moment you demand consistent surgical precision. The deal-breaker here is the terrifying reality of quality control variants across their manufacturing batches. While some of these barrels will stack bullets right on top of each other, other units rolling off the exact same assembly line will violently scatter your shots across the target. In independent field testing, some of these rifles produced horrific 5-inch groups at a mere 100 yards. That is a catastrophic failure of barrel harmonics, turning what should be a precision instrument into an unpredictable short-range brush gun. You are rolling the dice with every purchase. Price ranges from $250 to $400. Number 4. The Remington 783. To understand the existence of this weapon, you have to look back at one of the darkest chapters in modern firearms history. For years, Remington alienated their loyal working-class customer base by pushing the disastrous Model 710, a disposable rifle utilizing a deeply flawed press-fit barrel and a nylon receiver sleeve that degraded so quickly the bolt would violently bind. The 783 was forged as a desperate act of corporate redemption. Following their acquisition of Marlin Firearms, Remington stripped the highly respected DNA from the Marlin X7 and engineered a heavy-duty field tool to win back the trust of the American hunter. The mechanical insight resurrecting this platform is its absolute obsession with structural rigidity. Budget rifles are notorious for utilizing cheap, flimsy plastic stocks that bend under the violent pressure of recoil, destroying barrel harmonics. Remington eradicated this weakness by injecting their synthetic stock with a massive concentration of nylon fiber and embedding a dual aluminum pillar bedding system directly into the chassis. These non-compressible metal columns act as an impenetrable fortress for the action screws. When you torque the receiver down, it locks into a perfectly stationary position regardless of extreme temperature shifts or the brutal kinetic shockwave of the firing sequence. It also feeds from a flush-fitting steel box magazine, an undeniable material upgrade over the fragile plastic clips used by its rivals. But a heavy-duty survival tool rarely offers luxury, and the deal-breaker here is the severe lack of ergonomic refinement. The 783 utilizes a clunky two-position safety mechanism. When you push that safety forward in the dead silence of the woods, It unleashes a sharp, metallic click that will instantly alert your target. Furthermore, the factory-installed recoil pad is as rigid as a concrete wall. If you chamber this rifle in a heavy magnum caliber, that stiff rubber does absolutely nothing to absorb the violent rearward kinetic energy, delivering an exhausting beating to your shoulder. Price ranges from $250 to $400. Number 3. The Stevens 334 Synthetic. But before we tear into the mechanics of this foreign invader, it is time for the tactical pop quiz. Even though this weapon carries the legendary American banner of Savage Arms, what nation actually forged this massive steel receiver? Is it A. China, B. Turkey, or C. Brazil? Drop your exact answer in the comments right now. Savage resurrected the dormant Stevens brand to conquer the absolute bottom of the market, but they bypassed American factories entirely. They outsourced the construction to ATA Arms, creating a weapon that possesses a distinctly European soul, disguised in cheap synthetic polymer. The engineering architecture of the 334 violently defies standard American budget constraints. While its domestic competitors rely on standard 2-lug designs, this beast utilizes a robust 3-lug bolt geometry. This structural superiority reduces the rotational arc to a lightning-fast 60-degree bolt lift. This is a premium luxury feature stolen directly from sniper platforms that cost over $1,000. When you cycle the action, your hand clears heavy optic bells effortlessly, allowing you to chamber a follow-up round with devastating speed. The carbon steel receiver features an integrated recoil lug mated seamlessly to an aluminum bedding block, providing a rock-solid foundation for the micro-groove barrel. But this imported power comes with a severe physical tax. The deal-breaker here is the crushing weight and the atrocious factory trigger mechanism. Stripped bare, this synthetic rifle weighs over 7.2 pounds. When fully scoped and loaded, it easily eclipses 9.5 pounds, turning a grueling high-altitude mountain hunt into an exhausting physical punishment. To make matters worse, the factory trigger pull is an unyielding 7.5 pounds, feeling like dragging a cinder block across dry gravel, making long-range precision incredibly difficult out of the box. Savage even utilized high-strength green Loctite on the barrel threads, locking the steel together and turning any future gunsmithing modifications into an absolute nightmare. Price ranges from $359 to $389. Number 2. The Savage Axis II. For generations, the old guard of the firearms industry believed that surgical precision required hundreds of hours of manual hand-fitting. Savage violently shattered that myth, establishing the absolute modern benchmark for budget accuracy. This is the weapon that forced every other manufacturer on Earth to adapt or perish. The engineering breakthrough that allows this mass-produced tool to shoot like a custom-built sniper platform is the ruthless efficiency of the barrel nut system and the floating bolt head. Instead of paying a master gunsmith to meticulously cut the chamber for perfect headspace, Savage threads a fully chambered barrel directly into a tubular receiver, locking it down permanently with a heavy external nut. This guarantees mathematically flawless head spacing on an automated assembly line. When you cycle the heavy 90-degree bolt, the floating bolt head actually articulates. It automatically self-aligns perfectly against the internal abutments, mimicking the tight tolerances of an expensive hand-lapped action. When you finally prepare to take the shot, the legendary AccuTrigger mechanism takes control. The central safety blade allows you to safely dial the trigger pull down to a crisp 2.5 pounds. When fed premium 130-grain federal ammunition, this cheap hunting tool routinely produces devastating cloverleaf groups, stacking bullets right through the exact same hole at 100 yards. But this incredible mechanical precision is housed in a painfully fragile shell. The absolute deal-breaker here is the severe environmental vulnerability of the entire platform. The factory injection molded synthetic stock is incredibly weak, exhibiting massive lateral flex under pressure. If you push the forend heavily into a barricade or a bipod, the plastic will bend and violently strike the free-floated barrel, completely destroying your barrel harmonics and throwing your shot wide. Furthermore, the factory matte bluing applied to the carbon steel is highly porous. If you deploy this weapon in heavy morning dew or freezing rain, that barrel will be covered in aggressive surface rust within 24 hours if it is not heavily oiled. It is a highly lethal instrument, but it demands relentless, proactive maintenance to survive the wilderness. Price ranges from $350 to $430. Number 1. The Ruger American Standard Generation 1. In the brutal economics of 2026, the greatest tactical advantage is not always the newest technology. Sometimes the ultimate weapon is the ghost of a former king. When Ruger unleashed the Generation 2, it triggered a massive market migration. Thousands of hunters abandoned their original rifles, flooding the secondary and clearance markets. This massive depreciation created the absolute ultimate budget hack in modern firearms history. You can now acquire the undisputed champion of the last decade for a fraction of its original cost. The mechanical supremacy of this platform is rooted deeply in its barrel construction and proprietary bedding. While competitors utilize cheap button rifling, Ruger deploys a cold hammer-forged barrel. Massive rotary hammers violently crush a steel blank around a carbide mandrel, altering the metallurgical grain structure to create ultra-precise rifling that will outlast the shooter. But a perfect barrel is useless if the action shifts. Ruger solved the plastic stock problem by inventing the power bedding system. They permanently molded massive stainless steel V-blocks directly into the synthetic polymer. These steel blocks act as an impenetrable anchor, positively locking the tubular receiver in place and perfectly free floating the barrel without the need for expensive glass resin. The bolt architecture is equally devastating. It utilizes a massive full-diameter bolt with 3 locking lugs and dual cocking cams, providing a lightning-fast 70-degree bolt throw. You can cycle this action with ruthless aggression while maintaining a low profile under heavy glass. When you press the blade of the Marksman adjustable trigger, dialing it down to a crisp 3 pounds, the results are absolutely staggering. In controlled testing, this cold hammer-forged beast routinely printed 0.89-inch groups at 100 yards, completely destroying rifles that cost triple its retail price. It is the ultimate intersection of value and absolute ballistic lethality. Price ranges from $150 to $400. Now for the answer to our tactical pop quiz. Despite carrying the American Savage banner, the massive steel action of the Stevens 334 is actually forged in Turkey by ATA Arms, making the correct answer B. The barrier to elite precision has been permanently destroyed. Accuracy is now cheap, but the skill required to deploy it remains priceless. Master your environment, control your breathing, and always maintain the tactical advantage. Subscribe now and stay relentless.